Ahoj, ahoj a vítaj pri podcaste Chcem sa učiť. Ja som Andrea, lektorka anglického jazyka a aj dnes si povieme niečo zo života. Konkrétne ti budem hovoriť príbeh o tom, ako som išla prvýkrát sama do Anglicka, pretože bolo to trošku stresujúce, tak ten stres trošku zažiješ so mnou. Text, ktorý rozprávam a potom aj otázky k nemu na pochopenie, na porozumenie nájdeš na našom blogu priamo na webe chcemsaučiť.sk, aby si to mohol kľudne čítať spolu so mnou, prípadne prečítať si to od začiatku do konca, pozrieť si nejakú novú slovnú zásobu a potom správne zodpovedať na otázky na opakovanie. Poďme sa teda do toho pustiť. First time visiting England alone. The very first time that I visited England was together with my dad and my sister. I was in the 7th grade, I think. We traveled there by car and stayed for 2 weeks at our friend's house. So basically, we were surrounded by Slovak people, which was great because neither my sister nor I were good English speakers. I didn't say anything the whole trip. My dad can't speak English, but somehow he's able to communicate with foreign people. He uses his hands, legs, whatever is possible. But let's look at the time when I was in England alone. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to my parents for giving me the opportunity because this particular trip was the turning point in my relationship with the English language and traveling in general. I was 16 years old when my parents sent me on this venture. I had never flown by plane before and I was seriously stressed out from talking to strangers. My flight went from Krakow because that year Ryanair stopped their flights from Košice. That didn't help my fear. I do understand some Polish, but not when my head is going crazy from all of the new stimuli, so everything that the staff at the airport said to me sounded like gibberish. Check-in went well. I still had the comfort of my parents being there with me, but as soon as I went to the security check, my whole brain was in mayhem. I tried to calm myself down. As I was walking through the metal detector, the alarm went off. Shit, I said to myself when the man approached me and told me to step aside. I was trying to figure out what I forgot to take out of my pockets. A woman came to me and started to touch me. Yes, I get the idea why they have to do it. I just don't understand why the guy didn't tell me to empty my pockets and walk through the metal detector again as they do it now. But whatever. It would have been far less stressful that way. Anyway, everything was okay. I was cleared at the passport check and finally I got to the lounge. I had maybe 1 or 1.5 hours to spare. If my present self had been there at the airport, I would have gone to some shops. But instead, there I was, a ball of stress, chaotically looking around, trying to find the first timetable so that I could hypnotize it until the number on the gate changed. All in all, everything was fine. I successfully avoided unnecessary contact with other people and got to London. My 3-week holiday in England officially started. Amy was waiting for me at the airport. I had seen her once before when she visited Slovakia, but it was just for like 5 minutes of my life, and now I was supposed to stay with her and her family for such a long time. They were all English, born and raised. The only thing that brought me a little bit of joy was the fact that Amy could speak Slovak, but she refused to do so that was no use for me. The first week went by and I didn't say a word. Not one. Every morning when Michael and Ruth, the parents, met me in the kitchen, they tried to talk to me, but I didn't understand a single word. It was nothing complicated, let's be honest, but every time they tried, I was so anxious that my brain was foggy. If you want to have a laugh, every morning started with a question. Are you enjoying yourself? I never knew what they were asking. So this week I was just a spectator. I had a headache every single day and I went to bed at 7 p.m. because I was unable to function. Next 2 weeks it got better. I started to speak a little bit, not much, just a few words, but they got me by. We visited some of their friends who I hold dear to my heart until today. I even got a nickname. That is, my poor little sausage. Weird, right? Years later, I asked my friend why she gave me this nickname, and I never got the answer. Don't get me wrong, it's cute coming from an older lady, but why? Why in the hell? She even called me that in public. It was so embarrassing. Amy, Paul, who is her brother, and their friends and I visited London, Cambridge, Stanford, and Oxford together. I fell in love with Cambridge. It was so beautiful. And honestly, I cannot tell you if I was infatuated with the city or the boy who took us on the boat. Yep, he was cute and I still remember his name. But when I came home from England, I started researching Cambridge universities because I was convinced that I was going to study there. Spoiler alert, I didn't. When we were in Cambridge, little John went with us. He was probably the first friend I made myself. Did you start stalking, you may ask? Nope. We communicated with hands and legs, and little annoyances such as pushing each other, tapping on shoulders, tickling, etc. When I came back after 3 years, we went out together, and that was probably the first time I really spoke with him rather than annoy him, and it was cute. I can officially say that the second and the third week were not as bad. I didn't have a headache and I was enjoying myself. I didn't understand everything, probably just 30%, but still, it was great and I slowly but surely started to use my mouth to communicate. The biggest lesson that I learned is that people don't look at you badly if you speak broken English. They will wait until you say what you need. Nobody hurt me, nobody laughed at me. Okay, they laughed. Because sometimes I made stupid mistakes like I used give it to the car instead of put it in the car. Or I wanted to bake a chocolate cake for them and I asked, where are your bowels instead of where are your bowls? Which has totally different meaning, by the way. If you don't know it, look it up. But what is the message that I'm trying to say here? It's quite simple. Go out there, experience new adventures, even if your English isn't perfect. You will not regret it. You don't need perfect English. Just speak, learn, and absorb the culture. Super, sme na konci tohto podcastu. Verím, že sa vám to páčilo. Vyskúšajte si otázky na opakovanie alebo na porozumenie, ktoré nájdete na konci článku na blogu, aby ste zistili, či reálne ste aj odpovedali správne, pretože tam napíšem aj odpovede. Ak by ste chceli vedieť konkrétny plán, čo sme videli, kde sme boli v rámci Londýna, prípadne Cambridge, Oxford, veľmi rada vám o tom porozprávam. Dajte mi vedieť do komentárov, či by vás niečo také zaujímalo a určite sa na to pozrieme. Tento týždeň sa s vami teda lúčim. Počujeme sa na budúce, asi až o 2 týždne, pretože teraz idem na dovolenku, takže nebudem trošičku stíhať robiť ten podcast. Ale ak sa nepočujeme na ďalší týždeň, počujeme sa o 2 týždne, veľmi sa na to teším, dohodneme si nejakú tému, ktorá by vás zaujímala a porozprávam vám znova niečo. So have a lovely day and hear you later, alligator.